It reminds me of the World War II adage, there are no atheists in foxholes. When things get tough in deep spiritual struggles or any time like that, people will turn to God. All of a sudden, people who hadn't called on the divine will now ask for help from the divine. Suddenly, we believe. It's also like a spouse who's troubled with an addiction. After they have been acting out on that addiction, then come back to their beloved and say, it will never happen again, I won't do it again. But of course, before too long, they're relapsing again into their addiction, and of course, it does happen again. It reminds me of times when I am crying for help in the depths of my spiritual struggles and my temptations. And I cry for help, and then I get through the temptation, the time of solace and comforting, back to a fairly equilibrium kind of life, and all of a sudden I find myself repeating the same old cycle again. Here it is again. Around and around we go. But, that's sort of the negative side of promises or vows. The cynical side of me sort of sees that, but I do notice that in this psalm, that is not the context. The context is coming to the divine to pay my vows to you. So it's really about the sincere vows, a vow for a change of life, a change of life choices, and that's what this is really about. Nevertheless, for me, there is that tension between that sincere vow and then the insincere vow. And that tension between sincere cries to divine in times of spiritual trouble and in the insincerity of deathbed repentance or in the foxhole vows or whatever. That tension is apparent in the difference between the two numbers in the arcana that I read. That first arcana number acknowledges the way we bargain when we want the divine to provide something. It reminds me of decades ago when Dr. Kubler-Ross identified bargaining as a stage in grief. And of course, grief work is the same as any kind of adversity or any kind of trouble, that bargaining is part of what we do. So that, like I said, that number acknowledges the bargaining and our intention to keep our side of the bargain when it's a sincere vow. The other number in Arcana 4925 acknowledges the futility of trying to develop an instant relationship with the divine under extreme circumstances, hoping for a good outcome. So when I think about looking a little deeper within me, how does that tension play out? Within me, in my own personal struggles, I get to a point when I see the naked reality of who I really am and what I'm really trying to do. And I have to ask for help. I ask for help to change that and to come away from that and to no longer do that. I will say in my own process, I'm not aware of any actual bargaining, but definitely I'm aware of maybe a new intention coming to my awareness that the divine brings to me. And that new awareness, I think, is similar to bargaining or similar to making a vow, a promise. So then I get through that struggle, I have my time of consolation, I'm on with my life, but then here we go again, evidence of that naked reality coming back. And I cringe, remembering that I've faced this before. And then hopefully, through that, I'm able to remember the new intention, the new insight that I was given. I'm able to make even a slight change or maybe a big step towards a better intention and an improvement in my life. And that is, for me, how the tension of uttering a vow and a promise to the divine works out in my life.